Hello and welcome to the Intermittent Fasting Gems with Jen podcast. I'm your host, Jen, a middle-aged Michigan mama, wife, and teacher who in 2021 stumbled upon this crazy cool thing called intermittent fasting. And before I knew it, I'd lost 46 pounds in 4 months and gained an incredible lifestyle filled with complete food freedom. If you're hungry for unique, no-nonsense fasting tips that actually work, you're in the right place. So whether you're walking the dog, folding that last load of laundry, or cruising to your 9 to 5, let's start fasting our way to freedom together. Welcome, fasting friends. So today we are chatting with Kylee Frazier, who lives in Klamath Falls, Oregon. And Kylee is a teacher who she has kind of a non-traditional IF story that I am super excited to be here with you, Kylee. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here as well.
All right, wonderful. So I would like to start off, Kylee, by you telling us basically what are your top 3 wins with intermittent fasting, whether that be weight loss or any non-scale victories like improved sleep, more energy. Go ahead, Kylee.
So I say that my story is a little bit non-traditional because intermittent fasting, both times it's kind of come into my life hot and heavy, is after I had gone through a different weight loss journey. And then I've kind of used intermittent fasting as more of a maintenance strategy versus like coming to it specifically for weight loss to begin with. And so I feel like in a way that's kind of made me hesitant to kind of share my side of things, just in the sense of like, because it makes me almost feel like other intermittent fasters who have come and like lost weight with that, like, oh well, you already lost the weight and now you just using, I don't know, and that's totally
No.
me. Like, I care too much about what people think. So anyway, so I guess my weight loss journey kind of started in college, when I was still in college. And my highest weight I had ever recorded was 197. And that was, I didn't weigh myself super consistently. I'm 5'4", so not super tall. But then there was, and I know people say this a lot, but there was a photo, there was a moment, because my mom has gone through all of the, weight loss things throughout her life. And so I grew up kind of watching that. And she always said, she never pushed anything on me, which I appreciated, but she always said, like, if you ever want help, I'm willing to help you. Like, I'll pay for your groceries if you want to eat clean,
Aw.
like just all that stuff. So like she was always willing to help, but I just, of course, was, in my, I'm gonna eat whatever I want, it doesn't matter. And anyway, so my sister, one of my younger sister's 16th birthday, there was photos from that, and I was like mortified because I was the largest person in every photo. And it just like being, there's 4 of us daughters, and then my parents, and my mom actually had gone through one of her weight loss journeys at that time. So she was
Mm-hmm.
actually pretty small at that time. And then my dad has always not really ever struggled super hard with his weight, or when he does, he can lose it really quickly because men are men.
They are.
And
I hear
yes,
ya.
and so that was really the photo and the time. That was probably about, oh shoot, I'm not even gonna remember years. I should have written this down, but that was probably about 2017-ish, I want to say, when I
Okay,
saw
so
those
how
in.
how old would you have been then? Because you're 29,
I
is that right?
Yes, yeah, so I would have
Okay.
been 20. I'm like trying to
Okay.
remember.
So early
I would have been
20s. Early
22-ish,
20s.
22, yeah,
Okay.
when I started that journey. Yeah, because
Okay.
then 23, 24, I was in college. So maybe, yeah, because I went over my first teaching job. I taught abroad in Indonesia. So those that about a year before I went to Indonesia was when I was consulting with a nutritionist. My mom paid for that for me because she had a friend that was a nutritionist, and so she really helped me. And I'm kind of the type of person I've discovered that like I can either really care or not care. So like, and I always got good grades. And in the sense of like just not caring, eat whatever I want. But then like when I finally decided to make that choice for myself, my like the nutritionist, every week we had like a weekly meeting, and I would track everything, and she had access to like all my foods and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah. Okay.
And so I just figured out my macros, figured out all that. She gave me some tips to start with, but then every time we'd meet each week on the phone or whatever, she'd be like, well, you're doing great. Everything's good. You're still losing weight. Like, I don't really know what to tell you. Like, you're doing awesome. I'm like, yay.
Aw,
So it was almost like a grade. Now that I think about it, is like
sure.
I wanted to get a good grade and I had that accountability from that person.
I think that's
And
the
so
teacher in us, the
yeah,
teacher in us.
probably. I know. So I was actually pretty successful, but I was tracking everything. And so after I lost the weight, and then 2020 was when I went over to Indonesia. So that was right before all the COVID everything hit. And so I actually couldn't get over there for like a month later, and long story. But so being in an Asian country during COVID was stressful, to say the
I
least.
bet.
And
Sure.
we were fully online for almost 3 full years, before, when everybody else was coming back, and we tried to come back a couple times, and then people started getting sick, and everybody panicked, and everybody was shut down again. It was a roller
Wow.
coaster.
So how long were
So
you in Indonesia then?
I was there for 2.5 years. So that would have been 2020,
Okay.
21 was the first one, two, and then I came back January of 23. So I only stayed for
Okay.
2.5, for various other reasons. But long story short, I was actually the smallest that in my recorded adult life that I'd ever been, which I actually was kind of glad about, because now that I look back, everything else was super stressful. But I was able to, wear swimsuits without feeling self-conscious. And like, I was in a tropical country. I was walking
Right.
everywhere. I was doing all this stuff. So so about a year, maybe just a few months, because we had a lot of downtime because no one was on campus, and and
Yeah.
so I finally
Sure.
got to the point of like, I hate tracking food. I hate it. I hate it. I don't want to gain the weight back. I need to find something else. Like,
Yeah.
I just have to. And I was like, I don't, yeah. So I had been following, bless her heart, her name is Beth. She actually is the mom of someone I went to elementary school with,
Oh,
like forever ago.
funny. Oh,
She
that's
has an
cute.
Instagram, and I'd been seeing little bits and pieces. And so IF and Beth is her Instagram.
Oh, that's
So
cute.
she had started intermittent fasting. And so she was just sharing her journey on Instagram. And so that was kind of my first little like
Okay.
introduction to it. And then my mom had seen that as well. And so she got the book, Delay Don't Deny, Fast
Yep.
Feast Repeat. And so she's like, I bought these on Audible. If you want to listen to them, like, I'll give you my login. And so I was like, okay. So when I was on my walks during the day, I listened to the books, and I binge listened to them pretty much, both of them. And then I
Same.
was like, okay, well, yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess this is what I'm doing. So, and it kind of came in with all the other stressors and everything in my life. I kind of hit it hard and hot and heavy, because I was just tired of tracking. I was done. I was like, okay, well, I'm not tracking anything anymore. And
Right.
I think I might have started. So I started with an 8 hour window, which I realized very quickly that that was a long time, and I really wasn't that hungry. And so I pushed it pretty quickly. I think I did like a half an hour per day or something, down to at least six
Okay.
hours. And then I was
Good.
still, I think, yeah, I think when I first started, I was still tracking, because I was trying to fit in all of my foods that I needed
Oh,
in
right.
that six
Yeah.
hours. And it was so much. And I was
Yep.
like, I can't do this. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna stop tracking. And it's kind of a blur, just because of all the trauma and different things I don't have to get into. But all I remember is like that first summer, I decided not to go back home. But everyone was gone, and we actually had entered a major lockdown, in Indonesia. So after everyone went home, all the flights, all airports, all the grocery stores, everything just like shut down. And it was like blackout. So we were in our apartments, and the school had a pool, which was nice. And then there was like five teachers that were left behind, that we
Oh
kind of
my
had a little group.
goodness.
But then everyone was afraid to hang out. Everyone was, because they trust their government pretty heavily
Sure.
over there. And so
Sure.
like even our Indonesian friends, like no one wanted to go anywhere or do anything. So that was a little depressing. At the beginning of the summer, the teachers that were kind of left behind tried to get together at least once a week, and like each of us took turns making dinner. And
Aw.
so, but overall, I was kind of by myself. So I had looked up an exercise program online. I think it was like called like Pink Dragon or something, or maybe it's different now. But Holly Dolke, she was like in, I don't know, in a British country of some sort.
Okay.
But somehow
Okay.
I got connected with her workout program, so I tried to keep that up, and I tried to stay active, and not just sit at home. But then with that, obviously eating could be a problem. And so I just kind of like was like, okay, whenever I'm hungry, whenever I'm bored, I'm gonna start eating. which tended to be around like 11 or noon. And I was like, and I'm
Okay.
only gonna eat for 2 hours. I'm like, I'm not doing a lot. Like, no matter when I start, like, I'm gonna eat my big meal and then I might eat a snack later. So if it was like 12 to 2, great. If it was, 2 to
Yeah.
4, if it was whatever. And I managed to do that pretty well for that summer. And so I guess one of the biggest things, I know this is kind of a long story, but top three
That's
wins would
okay.
be not counting, not tracking my food. That is
Okay.
a blessing. And then also flexibility, right? Kind of goes with that.
Sure.
And then yeah, just I guess mental clarity around like not having to stress about finding foods and stuff like that. Um, and then, but with the stress though, and I think this is kind of an important little tidbit to
Sure.
say, is that with the stress, my body kind of had a weird time adjusting. So like intermittent fasting most days would work pretty well, but then there would be some days that I would think I was doing fine. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was the humidity or whatever, I would hit a point to where I just wall like I felt so nauseous. I felt and I just like wasn't prepared, and usually I was, at least for the first little bit, and then I would always be so mad, like, dang it, like I thought my body was adapted, and but there was so much else going on. Mentally, I was at the lowest point, getting to be the lowest point in my entire life. And so that, like, I know there was so much more going on. So I'm glad I didn't like give up on it, because
Sure.
I know there are so many stories just from people that I've seen that have gone over into Indonesia as well that had like gained weight over the 3 years that they were there, because
Absolutely.
it's tricky because there's
Absolutely.
stress in that sense. And so I feel like it's a flexible tool that I used, and in that time, even though I was not healthy, mentally, like, but at least like that really did help me maintain my weight. And so I really
So were you
appreciate that.
still in Indonesia when you got it down to the 2 hour window?
Yeah, that's when I was,
Okay.
yeah, really doing
That's what I
doing
thought.
that. So, and that was just for the summer because I was home, and I'm like, if I don't have, and I was
Hmm.
using an app at the time, so I was using the Simple app, but it's changed a lot. I've seen some recent ads for it, but that was a few years ago. But for
Okay.
that, I really enjoyed that one. It was paid, because I was desperate, and I was like,
Yeah.
you know what, screw it, like I'm just gonna do it. But so it was like $30 for however many months or whatever, I don't know. But it was
Okay.
really cool because it had the milestones, so like milestones, I don't know if that's right the word, but so like after a certain amount of time, it would tell you you're, burning fat, or it would tell you you're in autophagy, or you would and so that was
Sure.
cool to see, and kind of like a little game, like, oh, how long can I be in autophagy before I have to eat, and like all that stuff. And so, yeah, so that really did, I think, help keep me accountable. So that's how I was able to do the 2 hours, because I was like, okay, I'm going to start it, open my window, and then once that window's closed, like, I'm not opening it again. And it was
Yeah.
totally
When a lot
a
of
mind
us
game.
started, when I started back in 2021 and started my Facebook group, we all were on the Life app, and it did all of that cool
Hmm.
stuff that you just talked about, and it was actually free. And
Free,
we
I know.
had the
I was hearing about that too late, but.
it was nice, but they don't have it anymore. And so I
Hmm.
swear every time I have a new podcast guest on, I'm like, what are you using? We're using, I think it's Easy Fast right now. And
Hmm.
it's been fine. It's free and it does
Not as
what it needs
good,
to
but
do. But yeah,
yeah.
but it's not as,
Yeah.
nothing in my opinion will ever be as good as the Life app was. That was just awesome. But
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
and I binge listened to all your podcasts in like 2 weeks. And so
You did?
the one guy, yeah. And so,
Aw.
well, that'll come in again. But that one guy that
Okay.
created the app, I downloaded that app. I haven't looked at it yet, but I was curious about Jean, or whatever his name was,
Jean. Yeah, it
that
took
had
me
created that.
a bit to learn how to pronounce his name correctly. So I still
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was just adorable. It's just adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Um,
so yeah, that's
yeah.
definitely a topic that seems to get brought up every time I have a new guest on, because we're all searching
Hmm.
for that really awesome free one that does all of the, has all the bells and whistles and all of that stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah. Well, that's
uh
super cool. Yeah. So that helped me. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't want to
Okay.
cut you off. So when
Oh.
you would you say so right now you're still are you fasting currently?
Yes. Yeah. So I
Okay.
guess kind of continuing my story a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'll try to speed it up. Sorry. I know
Oh,
I
you are
tend to get into a
fine.
lot of details, but
You're fine.
so kind of fast forward a little bit. So so my leaving of Indonesia, again, I was there for 2.5 years because
Okay.
I started that third year and I was thinking that I could do it. And I was in a much worse place mentally than I had anticipated. And there was a whole host of other things that was going on with the leadership and all the teachers and
Sure.
all that stuff. And so, anyway, that put me into a huge funk, and I was an empty shell of a person. And so by the time I just finally talked to the heads or whatever. And I was like, I have to leave after Christmas break. Like, I just need to. And so I ended up leaving early, which that was a huge torment on my body and my mind because I have never quit anything early
Aw,
or anything like that. Like I, am a very dedicated person. I've always followed the rules. I've always, like, and it just felt so weird because it felt like everybody's energy towards me just like shifted. Like when I decided I
sure.
was leaving, I was like not really exiled, but it just kind of felt like that ostracized, like, and it just was like,
Yeah.
okay, she's gone, like, okay, bye, and so
Aw,
that was really hard on me mentally. And so it was a really tough time, that whole transition back to the US. And so when I got back, I was completely burnt out on teaching. I did not even think I wanted to step foot in a school. And the Salem area in Oregon, if any listeners are from
mm-hmm.
Oregon,
Sure.
um, or honestly, any big city that I was hearing about post COVID was just a mess. And
Yeah.
I talked to one of my professors from college because the program in Indonesia, it's kind of connected through the university. And so I was just explaining like why I came back early and all that stuff. He was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like we've been hearing a lot of stuff about that. And he's like, honestly, if you have any doubts about teaching, like, because he consulted for schools in the district, he was like, don't do it. He's like, it is miserable.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. And so I was like, great. Like, my
Yeah, it's rough.
professor that taught me how to be a teacher is telling me not to go, No, it was fine. And
Yeah.
so, but I mean, it was a huge time of self-discovery, trying to figure, what the heck is going on. And I needed money. And so Klamath Falls, if anyone knows that area, is a little town on the border of California almost. And, so my oldest sister has lived here for 11 or 12 years.
Okay.
And so I came to visit her one week, and she was like, it's pretty chill out here. Like I have friends that are teachers, and I was like, great.
Aw.
So I got certified to sub out in Klamath Falls area, and I have been here. This is my third year of substituting because and since I have my license, I've been able to do a lot of long-term positions. And
Sure.
with that, though, getting to know kind of the schools in the area. And so I know,
Mm-hmm.
at almost every school I was in this closer to the city, I was like, nope, like my 3 months are up. I'm leaving. Like I'm not gonna,
Aw.
and so none of my positions until now, as I've made my way further out into the county, the
Mm-hmm.
outerlying, the rural schools. So the actual little town I live in is like 700 people, and it's the teeny tiniest little school now. And
Oh,
I love
wow.
it. And so this is the
Oh,
first school
good.
after 3 years that I've been in that I actually feel like, so in that time, I went through a very toxic relationship. And it was my first kind of serious relationship. And so I had been intermittent fasting and I still was, even when I was with him. And he, was kind of understanding at first, but he had a lot of issues with food in his own brain. And
Okay.
so I feel like my doing that, I never told him to do it. Or I'm just like, was open if you wanted to talk about it. But like, I feel like he almost saw that as like, a threat, like, every time like I
Oh,
wasn't eating, or like not really a threat, but just like it made him uncomfortable just because
sure. Sure.
like I don't know, there was so many issues and red
Yeah.
flags I should have seen, but it's fine. um we learned a lot. We're moving on, but no. So I was with him for about 2 years, and I still pretty much kept my intermittent fasting schedule. But there was a lot of definitely times. So like usually my regular schedule is like I don't eat my first meal until after the kids leave, so about 2:30 ish, depending on the school. I'll eat a
Okay. That
snack,
good.
and
That was
then
my next question. So,
right,
what's
yeah, my
your main
schedule.
routine? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I pretty much kept it up to on average about 2:30-ish will be like my first snack, like right after the kids leave, and then we have meetings, whatever, and then get home around 4 depending, and then I'll usually go on a walk or do something and then eat around 5. I try to be done by 6. I'd love to be done by 5:30 because I'm in bed by 7:30 most times. So
Okay.
like at least two
Yeah.
hours before. And I've noticed that if I, eat later, whatever, like if I'm not done eating, like last night, if I wasn't done eating until 6:30 just because of other things going on, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't sleep as well. Like I had weird
Yeah.
dreams. Like it's weird how it impacts that. So I
It
really do
really
try to be
does.
done, yeah, like at least a
So
couple
it
hours before.
sounds like, it sounds like you're pretty close to a 20 and 4 or like a
Yeah,
warrior diet type
yeah, for the most
routine
part.
or
Hmm.
schedule. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That sounds like
So.
it's work. So do you want to share, like, your how much weight you did lose over what time or
So that's why it's tricky because so when I was 197, my lowest point I got down to was about 148. When I was in Indonesia, I kind of stayed around that area.
okay.
And then when I was with him, I did not weigh. And that was another thing is he like kept wanting me to weigh. Like I think he was like
Mm.
I feel like he was curious about what my weight was
Intermittent
just because like
fasting.
he had a very different idea. His philosophy on health was I can work out for 3 hours at the gym and eat whatever I want. I was like,
Yeah.
no. Uh, so we had very different philosophies. So I think he just was always curious, like, oh, I just do it. I'm like, no, like Jen says I shouldn't weigh myself, but if I know it's gonna make me, unhappy or whatever. And so I did it for the longest time. And so when I finally, so then I did gain weight when I was with him, and I gained now I know about 30 pounds
Okay.
from the time I got back from Indonesia to the time that I had a new opportunity enter my life after I broke up with him. I had a person in my life, I won't name any names just in case, but I had a
Sure.
person in my life who was doing the tirzepatide, I don't know if you know about the shots.
Uh, oh,
It's
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like it's kind
Okay.
of like Ozempic, but it was the
Okay.
more so Ozempic, there's a lot of side effects and things like that because it's not meant for the regular
Mhm.
population, right? It's for those with like insulin problems and stuff like that. And so all these different semaglutide shots and things have come out that it work better for people and have less side effects and all that. So that's what the tirzepatide was. So this well-meaning person in my life had been on it and she was feeling great and then eventually her doctor told her that there was a pre-existing issue with her pancreas, so she had to stop taking it and she had
Okay.
just bought a new bottle and they're like $500 a bottle. And so she was
Mhm.
like, I can't send it back. None of my friends want to try it for cheaper. Like, do you want it? Like, do you want to try it? Like, you don't have to. Like, I'm not forcing you to. I was like, I was so hesitant because I never thought I would do anything like that. But I was like, you know what? It could be a
Mhm.
good way to get myself started. And I already had my healthy eating after breaking up with him and getting back on my regular schedule. I was like, I had good
Sure.
habits in place. And that's why she thought it would be a good way to just kind of get me motivated and get me going. And so, yeah, so I was on that and I ended with my intermittent fasting schedule of about 4 hours. I ended up losing way too fast. I lost about 16 pounds in the first month,
Oh, wow.
or like 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah. And so she was
Okay.
like, you should probably eat more while you're on this. And so I added in an extra snack at like noon. So I was eating a snack at noon, eating a snack right after the kids left, and then eating dinner, making sure
Okay.
high protein, high whatever. And so that was just was so much. I hated having to think about bringing all that to school and like all that stuff. But
Sure.
I
Sure.
stuck with it. And yeah, so I just took my last dose of that about 2 weeks ago. And so I am now officially at my lowest in my adult life weight. I just am between about like 145, 146.
Okay.
Um, and so obviously now that I am off of it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to, go back to I was afraid that it was gonna be difficult to get back to an intermittent fasting schedule. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and try to find some motivation. And I almost went back to the intermittent fasting stories, which are great, but then your podcast came up and
Aw.
that was about a month ago. And I was like, you know what? Like there was a health and wellness challenge at school for a bingo. So like you can, get all the bingos. One of the bingo
Uh-huh.
squares was listen to a health podcast or whatever. So I'm like, you know what? Like, here's this one. And so I started listening to your podcast and
Aw.
I
That is
binge
so
listened to that
cool.
in 2 weeks. I started doing the nasty drinks. Um, so I opened my window with that, no matter how much it makes me want to puke. You said it would get easier. But you know
Is it
what's
getting easier?
amazing? No.
What?
But you know what's amazing? It's not. Is that it is disgusting and I literally my coworkers laugh at me because I gag every time I have to drink it. I chug it. So like I'm chugging like soda water, which like obviously doesn't takes a minute to settle. And so like I just when I first started drinking, I was kind of taking it around 1:30 because I had still had my like 12 eating window
Uh-huh.
after I was getting off. And so the kids were like laughing at me because I was like, guys, smell this. And they're like, I made one of my kids smell it and she was like, oh, what is that? It's just like so gross. Anyway, so I'm still taking it. But what's amazing is it works. It
I
it like
know.
works to
It
appetite suppress
does.
it. And it's
It
like, and
does.
I thought it would be kind of scary because vinegar on an empty stomach kind of sounds weird to me.
Yeah.
And so, but it doesn't really bother me until, well, after the initial drinking of it.
What are
Once it's,
you
Mhm.
what are you mixing it with? Are you mixing it with sparkling water
I
or
yes. Yeah, I tried
what
the so
kinds?
in your phone okay, I know, that's citrus. I've been listening, I've been taking it.
Okay,
So
I'm
the
just
lime the lime ginger water is what I started with, but I don't really like ginger, so I don't know why I started with that. But it was
Okay.
your recommended one at first, the Nixie or whatever. And so I did not like that. So once I switched from that to just regular lemon lime, it got a little bit better. It did. But it still is like it's literally, and then when I go to like make the drink, like mix it in the morning to be able to take it to
Yeah.
work, it's when I soon as open the apple cider vinegar bottle, like I smell it and I'm just like, oh, it just
So
gives
what
me a
you
gag
should be
reflex.
you're not making the cubes?
No, I haven't been.
That do you
Just
have
because
a
it's
little
not much.
do
Uh-huh.
you have a fridge at work? Because that is so easy. You just make I
I
just
just do
make up
little
the
cubes.
cubes, you pop it out, and
It's
then you
really,
add your
yeah.
sparkling
It's really
water.
not that. I know it's really not that big of a. I don't mind making it every morning.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like every time I smell the apple cider vinegar, I don't know what it is, but it works. It works,
I
and
know.
it's crazy.
It
So
hasn't been too long then. If you said, it's only been a couple weeks, right? So
yeah,
give it let's give it
totally
3
thinking about.
more weeks. And then you're going to be
I'm still
craving
taking
it,
it, even though it's
Kylie.
nasty. Like I'm still taking it. I'm trusting it. That and then another one of your tips is like ending my window with I've been ending it with a
Mhm.
half an avocado almost every night. Either adding the avocado into my dinner or just eating a half an avocado, which I never used to eat before. And that I feel like really helps too, which
Yeah,
is
if you
crazy.
end with a healthy fat,
Hmm.
it really does help you pretty much sail into that next, fasting
Yeah.
hour. It makes it so much easier to push through. So,
Yeah.
good.
So those have been some tips that I gained from your podcast. So
Well,
I started doing
good. Thank
that.
you for sharing
So,
that. It's always nice to
yes.
hear that people are, they're benefiting and it's working for them. So
Mhm.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I like orange now, actually, and I no longer do it's been 5 years now I've been doing it. So
Yeah.
orange is probably my favorite. Orange
Have you ever
LaCroix.
tried grapefruit? Because
Oh
I'm
no,
curious.
I don't like grapefruit, so
I
I
do,
won't
but
do
I
that.
bought a Costco pack and it has the lemon, the lime, because it was like 35 for like $10 or
Yeah,
whatever. It has the lemon, the lime, and the grapefruit. And I was like, I wonder,
my
because,
my husband mixes his with grapefruit and he really likes
oh,
it,
really?
but
Okay.
I
Oh,
don't like
yeah.
grapefruit. So give it a try if
Well, I
it's
don't
in
like
the.
ginger, so.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. But yes, okay, I will try that and I will let you know
That's good.
how that goes. But yes, so I guess, okay, summarizing that first question, yeah, so my top three wins, not counting calories, but I just said that. Flexibility,
Hmm.
like, and just kind of freed time because of that, not having to think about tracking and eating everything all day. And then the last thing I think would be really one of my top three wins is pinpointing how specific foods really impact my body,
Mm,
which is kind of interesting because I have learned, like when I was with, well, okay, my ex was Chinese, and so he had rice, a lot of rice all the time. Every time we'd go visit his family, like I would feel so sick, like that whole time, even if I kind of
okay.
kept my intermittent fasting schedule. And I think it was the rice, or I thought it was like spices or something. And I wouldn't really eat a ton of rice, and I never ate rice in Indonesia because it's same thing. But I've noticed I bought a basmati rice packet and I ate that for about 3 days because I don't eat the whole thing at once, and so I just added it to my meal and it never bothered me. And so like I think
Hmm.
there's just something about the white rice and even the brown rice sometimes, and like brown rice and quinoa by itself is fine, but I have a brown rice quinoa pack mix that kind of makes me
Hmm.
feel bloated and gross. And but the basmati has not bothered me, so that's been interesting to figure out. And then but yeah, just I mean, there's been other foods like that, but just pinpointing like
Yeah,
exactly how
it
your body
makes
kind of
you
reacts to different foods.
definitely more
Aware.
mindful of those
Mhm.
foods. And yeah, I cannot have rice either.
Yeah.
I just do cauliflower rice now, and I mix it with, like some herb and onion, cream cheese,
Mm,
and put
yeah.
it on the stove and put in some butter and some little bit of heavy
Well, that sounds
whipping
good.
cream. Make it like a
Yeah.
risotto. It's
All the
very, very
healthy
good.
fats.
Green
Yeah.
onions and stuff like that.
Mm.
Have you been to my
Your
recipe
website.
site? Well, it's
So that's
okay.
the other hard part for me is that I hate cooking. So
So,
I keep it as simple as possible. But okay, one that was funny. I tried in the past week when I knew I was going to talk to you. I tried like three or four things that I hadn't tried yet. I ordered because I started listening to intermittent fasting stories after your podcast ended, not ended, but I got to the
Yeah.
end of what I was doing. And so Jen
Gin. I know
recommends
it's
Marley
close.
Spoon. And so she has actually like really good details. I cannot talk.
That's okay.
Discount going on with
Oh,
Marley
okay.
Spoon. And so I did the math and I was like, okay, like my groceries, I try to have a budget for the month. And so with
Mm-hmm.
all these discounts, like that's probably less than what I would spend if I went to the store. So I'm trying it. I got my first box today of Marley Spoon. I haven't made the meal yet, but
So
that
I'm
is my
assuming that's
goal.
a meal delivery like Green Chef, which I
Yes. Yeah,
use.
sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
I haven't heard of that
so
one. Cool.
I want to get more motivated to actually put more effort into my food. So most of the time my food is just like some sort of meat that I have like chicken, salmon, whatever, and then veggie and then a sauce so
Okay.
that it's more interesting. So mostly clean, but then for the most part like I've never loved cooking and I've always wanted to figure out how to like it better, and so I've never been
Okay.
bad at it. Like I'm good at cooking. I just don't like doing
Yeah, so
it.
that was one of my questions, just, what are you generally going towards? So you're keeping it pretty simple, it sounds like.
Yeah, and just everything, honestly, since I broke up with my ex, and that was last June. And so since then, I've really just kind of been detoxing in all my other areas of life. And so eating clean, I
Good.
deleted Facebook and Instagram. I, just
Yeah.
like, just really
Absolutely.
cleaning up my life here because I live, the place I live right now, like it was all God, like I'm just gonna say that, like all of these,
Yeah.
things that lined up. I live on the side of a mountain with a view of the whole valley. I see every
Oh,
beautiful sunset and and I'm just like, it is the most perfect place I've ever lived, and it's teeny tiny town. I love it,
it
and I
makes you
think I got
put
really,
things into perspective.
yeah,
I
and
can
so I
imagine.
go out. Well, and that's the thing is like I never used to like to exercise, and I know that's obviously a question that comes up later, but
Yeah.
being out here. And I got into walking before I broke up with him, and so I was really trying to add that back into my schedule, and it just was
Hmm.
tough. And we lived in the city or in town, and the bigger town, and so, but being when I moved out here, like you literally walk out your door and walk up the mountain and go on any hike you want to. And like, how can you not? Like, that's just, and so
Right.
that's really motivated me. And it's a mountain, so I'm uphill no matter which way I go, and so that hill has really,
Sure.
even just walking every day, like that's really motivated me. And then I've started walking with free
Yeah.
weights. And so I started with 3 pounds
Oh,
and then I
good.
went up to 5 pounds and now I'm at 6 pounds. And so I just do some like, arm movements while I'm walking because I don't like to take the time to do separate free weight workouts. So I just combine all
So
the
how
things.
often would you say you work out,
I try to go on a
per
walk
week?
every day. Yeah, I try to go on a walk every
Nice.
day because my dog, so she doesn't really go far from the house unless I'm walking out there with her, which is, I guess, is good. But,
Hmm.
and then, so I try to at least a mile, but usually 2 miles if from most days. And then every other day ish, I'll walk with my weights. And
Oh, good.
so, yeah, I try to give that a break. I was doing almost every day, but I really just felt like
That's a
more
little much,
tired. I don't know.
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even just like carrying them, yeah. So, and then I guess I get in my 3 pound. Those feel like nothing now, but so, um, but yeah. So I
Oh, very
appreciate
good.
that
All right.
extra little boost in my workouts, and so now I have started.
Absolutely.
I got a vibration plate for Christmas because I
Oh,
wanted it.
okay. I've never
And
tried that.
then yeah, and it just, I'd heard good things, and it just kind of, so in the evenings after I eat dinner, I try to do squats. It sounds funny, but so
No.
I'll do like 50 squats or whatever with my weights on the vibration plate. And then I've really gotten into lymphatic massage, lymphatic
Okay.
drainage. So really looking into
Hmm.
that. And so there's a girl on YouTube, and I first got, before I deleted Instagram, she was on there, but like called the specific seven. So there's the seven, her name's Dr. Caitlin that she goes by on, which I don't know what her last name is, but every time she has a video. But so the specific seven lymph node areas and just like massaging those. And I feel like that's really helped with like just fluid retention and obviously the
My husband
vibration
swears
plate.
by that. He swears by
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
And I didn't really know
Yeah.
anything
It's
about
really
it until
helped
I
him.
started.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so just all so then, and that's why I'm like also feel afraid to share my story because I'm single, don't have a lot of kids. I just have this time to like get these routines down. But again, like it started 5 years ago with, the weight loss and then intermittent fasting. I'm like, this has been, so whenever people are like, oh my gosh, I could never do all of that, I'm just like, this is my fifth year of adding in all of these different strategies,
Yeah.
different things,
And
building
that's
up. And it's
it.
like, you just have to start somewhere. Like, just
You
start.
have to start, and you just have to, kind of it's a bunch of trial. I say this all the time, but it's trial and error until you figure out the things that work for
Right.
you. And it's
Yeah.
not a cookie cutter diet. That the same things that work for me are not
Hmm.
aren't necessarily going to work, as well for you. So,
Hmm.
they might not work at all. So you do have to kind of try it and tweak it until you get what works for you.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I'm like,
um,
when I was getting to those feelings of nauseousness and like all that stuff while I was in Indonesia, and I was like, didn't ever stop and say, oh, this isn't working. Like I'm just like,
right,
okay, what can I do different? And if that means
right,
carrying a granola bar in my purse for a while until I feel confident
for
again,
sure.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
So then okay, so I said I tried a couple things before like in the past week. So
Hmm.
the other thing I tried is I had done one 36-hour fast when I
Okay.
was in Indonesia just because I wanted to try it. And so I was just going to be home all weekend and I was like, you know what, I can do this. And so I did it. And I remember about that being like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like, oh, this is
That's
crazy.
great.
Yeah. So that was the first one. And that was like, at least 4 years ago. And so I've been afraid to like do another one, but I was like, you know what? And so I was trying to like mealless Mondays, obviously, is like what everyone talks about. But there was a fear in me that like be going to school like on Tuesday or whatever, like if I hadn't eaten
Hmm.
yet, like just a fear that I was gonna be lightheaded, that I was gonna, feel like I was gonna pass out, whatever. I don't know. So then I was trying to plan out this schedule. Okay, if I stop eating at this time, I can go all day Monday, and then by Tuesday, like I'll have a snack. If I need to eat at 9, like I'll eat at 9. If I anyway, and it was just like all of this stuff, and I was just standing there on Saturday, and I hadn't eaten yet on Saturday, and I was like, you know what? I was like, why don't I just do it today? Like I'm literally
Yeah.
home Saturday and Sunday. I'm like, why would that? And I did almost 40 hours. It would have been 40 if church hadn't started
Wow.
at 10 a.m. Uh, but I wanted to
Well,
eat before I went to church.
yeah.
And so I drank the drink at 9, about 9:20, I guess. And then I
Okay.
ate half an avocado, and then I heated up, well, 20 minutes later, and then I heated up 2 cups of bone broth and took that in a thermos with me to church. So I sipped on that through church. And then after church,
Perfect.
I had like a cottage cheese and mango snack, and then just my bigger meal later. And or I, no, I ate
Whoa.
for 8 hours because I was actually going to be gone that day, and so I ate
Okay.
that before I left, and then so it's 9 to 5:30 ish, so about 8 hours. I know I made sure to like refeed, which was
Yeah.
weird because after I ate the cottage cheese, it doesn't usually make me feel bloated, but I felt so full, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what if I can't eat again today?
Sure.
And then,
Sure.
but then like 2 hours later, I was so hungry. Like I have not felt hunger
Hmm.
like that in so long. And so then my friend and I went to this like salad bowl healthy food place, and it was really good. So I got a big old quinoa bowl with chicken and all that stuff. And so I
Aw.
ended with
Well,
that.
great
And
job. And
yeah, so
how'd you
it felt
do? Did you
great.
get a headache yeah,
No.
it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I felt so there was only one part in the afternoon. I went to spend some time at my sister's because I don't have a washing machine, so I did some laundry, and which was good because she actually had a ton of sweets in her house, and I was like, oh no, but then
Yeah.
that wasn't going to be the first thing I ate, so I was able to not eat those. But anyway, and so played with my nephew for a little bit. He's the first one of the little baby of the family, so
Aw.
spent some time. And there was one moment where it was funny because I never really understood the keto breath. And I've been like the metallic taste to me, it's almost like a sweet, like I
Yeah.
literally the first couple times I never felt it until I was on the tirzepatide. Which is funny because I was still
Mm.
doing a little bit of fasting, and for some reason the tirzepatide must have kickstarted that. Like because I never remember tasting or smelling. It was a taste and a smell. I thought a kid was wearing like a weird type of perfume. I was like, what is that smell? Because it almost happened almost every day at 10 a.m. is when I help out in a class with some small groups. And that's about when it would click in when I was doing the trizepatide almost every
Hmm.
day, that taste, smell, whatever. So it was super weird. Anyway, and so now I get what people are talking about. That was just a revelation for me. I was like, is this what it is? Like, wow.
Yeah.
Because then one time on Saturday afternoon, there was one moment where I had to exert a little more energy. My dog was chasing chickens and I was freaking out at her. So like, no, stop, like yelling at her. And all of a sudden that flavor just like entered my mouth and I was like, whoa, like that was my kickstarting, my ketones. And
Aw.
so I was like, okay, I was like, we're fine. Like, calm down, because I know you're not supposed to like exercise heavily
Yeah.
on the days when you're
Do
fasting longer.
you do you
But
drink green tea at all?
no, I've tried. I bought green tea. That was the other thing I did that I wanted to do this week before I met you. Was
No, that's okay.
I did buy some green tea because I was like, I know it's better. And I've been tempted to switch from coffee to green tea. I do not like the flavor. It
Of
is,
green
I don't
tea.
know. It tastes like grass. And I just,
Yeah, it
it's
might
interesting.
take a
It'll
little
take a
getting used
while.
to that too. But what I was going to say is not only does it have awesome weight loss and health benefits, but it
Hmm.
also does help with that
The breath.
keto
Yeah.
breath. Yeah,
Which
it
it
really.
hasn't, I don't notice it a lot. And that's the thing is like,
Oh,
I
that's good.
really didn't notice it until the trizepatide and then until again on the 39 hour
Yeah.
fasting time, about halfway through. Yeah. So then during my fast, I've been black coffee and water mostly. And I've
Okay.
recently started drinking, don't eat during the fast. I have started adding about an eighth of a teaspoon into my 40-ounce water bottle of Celtic sea salt.
Yep.
And so that, because I tried, you talk all the time about the LMNT, the element, and I tried it one time. It made me so nauseous. I tried it in my fast, and
Did
I literally, it like jump started I don't know, must have jump started my insulin or whatever. And I got like immediately within like 20, 30 minutes of starting to drink it, I like got lightheaded. I don't know. It was so
ooh,
weird. And I was
you
like, how
didn't
do you? Hmm?
use the flavor or the did you use
Mm-mm.
the
It was the
raw?
raw. It was the
Okay.
raw,
Hmm.
and the salt flavor was just so strong. And I feel like
Yeah.
maybe it just because I wasn't used to it, and my body was like, "What is this?" But I got scared,
Yeah.
and I never tried it again in the past. And I haven't really needed it. And like I had the packets, and so I would mix it with like lemonade or something, like
Yeah.
just during
Yeah.
my fast, or I mean, sorry, during my eating window. So I did still drink them until well, actually, probably that was like 2 years ago. I bought them, and I
Okay.
probably still have a couple packets left, but it's fine. Uh, So, but yeah, but the
No,
Celtic sea
mineral.
salt has really helped a lot.
Yes, I've used that too,
Hmm.
and
And you can't taste
I
it.
only take one a week now when I do one or like 2 to 4 a month. I would say when I do an extended fast, that's it. I don't
Hmm.
take them any, but they really did help me at the beginning. But now I just do the salt if I'm feeling extra hungry or a little off or dizzy or
Yeah.
whatever.
And I've tried the
I
mineral
try that,
water.
drop it in, and
Hmm. I've tried the sparkling mineral water,
that.
yeah, with
Oh,
during the fast. I mostly when was first getting started in Indonesia because it was not as expensive to buy the sparkling mineral water. And
hmm.
I didn't really, I don't know. Once I kind of got into the
Well,
fasting of
some
like not
people
having to
like
think
it,
about
some people don't.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't really do that during the fast. So yeah, black coffee and
Okay.
water has been
Oh, that's
and I usually
perfect.
only do, yeah. And so I was almost afraid. I was just fascinated how well my body did with that 39-hour fast. When you want to know what's funny, this might be TMI, but like I must have been backed up or something. Like, so I'm kind of glad I did it on Saturday. Not really backed up, like I usually pretty regular, but because I still, after not eating for, 30 hours, 35 hours at that point,
Yeah,
I still like went to the bathroom the next morning and I was like, this is weird. I didn't eat
sure.
anything yesterday, so like it's just that time for your
Yeah,
body to like, and I felt so good, just like empty detox, like
that's
it was great.
awesome.
And then yeah, by the time I, was starting to eat that day and just it was kind of weird eating for more time throughout the day, but I think it helped that we were kind of out and about because then it kind of, kept me
Sure.
moving a little bit and
Oh, it does. Yep,
yeah.
absolutely.
And so
So, Kylie,
anyway,
what
yeah.
would you say is what's like your biggest challenge that you have with fasting?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I care too much what people think about me. So the definitely probably the social aspect because if people
Sure.
don't know, or they have never really been introduced or like when I don't eat, most of the day throughout the school day and then when people I feel like I don't want people to think that I'm judging them, but also like I feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
judged because like people will bring I literally saw somebody the other day like have a piece of pizza in a plastic bag, put it in the microwave in the plastic bag, and then it like melted to the pizza and they like peeled it up. I just was like,
Oh,
huh?
wow.
So I'm like, so I don't enjoy super, unless I actually have something to talk to them about. I don't really sit in the
Yeah.
lunchroom anymore just because I don't want them to think like, my feelings are on my sleeve. So I'm like, I don't
Sure.
want them to think that I'm judging them because I'm not. But anyway, so I guess really just the social aspect. And so
That's
but
very,
obviously
very
like,
common.
if I'm
Very
planning
common.
on, eating lunch with somebody or whatever, like obviously I can adjust my window to do that. But at
Mm-hmm.
school, and since I've been at a new school, with substituting, like it's hard to like for people to hear my whole life story and then I'll hear it again and then hear it.
Yeah.
So it kind of takes time for me to really like open up about that. And I don't really talk a
Sure.
ton about it unless they ask, and I'll mention it's what I'm
Right.
doing. But then usually when you say intermittent fasting, they're just kind of like, oh, okay, and like,
And
but yeah,
that's
I think that's
generally because they really aren't that knowledgeable about it, and they just
right.
don't know what to say, and they think some people think,
I
oh,
did recommend. Yeah, for the first
Go
time
ahead.
I did recommend because someone had kind of started talking about it, and I felt bad because she just mentioned, oh yeah, like I've really kind of started doing that too. And she's like, sometimes, because she had pulled out a lollipop from her desk, and she's like, sometimes I, just need a little boost of sugar to like get me through or whatever. And I was like, hey, I have a
Oh
book for
boy.
you to read. I was like, I was like, if you're really interested, like here, because I didn't want to say
Yeah.
anything. She's like, yeah, sometimes I have, honey in my tea, and that really helps get me through until noon or whatever. And I'm just like, uh-huh. But you could go a lot longer if you wanted to,
I
Anyway,
know.
but
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
so I'm not going to tell her like, oh, that's actually bad. I'm like, hey, here's a book. And then once she
yep,
reads that,
that's
then we can
always a
talk.
good thing to do. Let me just slip this
Yeah.
book to you and
Yeah. No, but they're super
oh,
sweet. Yeah. So, but yeah, I
I
think,
love it.
yeah.
Love
So,
it.
anyway.
Well, we are almost out of time, but
I
I would
know.
really love for you to share your absolute shiniest gem with our listeners today. So, if you had to give them
I
one
did
piece of
think about that.
advice, what do you think? What are your words of
So
wisdom,
yeah, I know.
Kylie?
I know I was a little all over the place. Again, non-traditional
No.
slash I tend to talk a lot, but I did think about this one and I loved what one of your guests said. The younger gal, she was about 20 at the time.
Oh, it's
Mary?
Mary. Love
Yeah.
Mary. Yeah.
And so
She lost a
she's
hundred
like, you could,
pounds.
yeah, I know. We heard that update, yeah. And but she said something like, like think about where you want to be in 1 year. Like you could either be in the exact same place if you don't ever want to start fasting, or just start, and then, it could
Yes.
take a year, it could take 2 years, but like you'll be in a much better place. But my summary kind of was like, don't overcomplicate it. Like just start. Start slow, learn from your body. There are so many, I mean, even from my rambling, you might have heard, there are so many different phases and different things to just learn. And it's been 5 years for me that I've been mostly doing this. And
Wow.
learn from mistakes. I put mistakes in quotations. So like my times where I almost passed out, like learn from that and then decide,
Yeah,
okay, well now I know well, and with those times, now I know what true hunger feels like. And so like
absolutely.
it kind of sucked, but at the same time, like it was amazing information. So like learn from that, don't stop because of it,
Mm-hmm.
and just adapt through the different seasons of life and just don't stop. Whether that's a 6 hour window for a time, whether that's a 4 hour, 2 hour,
Absolutely.
like that, fasting is
Yeah,
fasting. And yeah. So
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. Kylie, you have shared so many awesome tips. I can't write fast enough. I'm going to have to
I'm
go back
sorry.
and no, it's okay. I'll write all the gems down as I'm editing and going through and I cannot tell you how excited I am that you reached out. I love that. And I love that you have a non-traditional story because when you sent me that message, I really got excited because that's what I want. That's my vision for this podcast. I don't want it
Hmm.
to be
The same thing
do
every time.
do fasting like Jen does fasting. I
Yeah.
want to talk about and highlight people and what works for them in all of the
Hmm.
different ways because truly my number one for fasting is the flexibility and
Yeah.
that you can do it in so many different ways. It's a lifestyle. It's not a diet. And I'm so blessed that I don't have to I found something that allows me to never go on another diet. And at 50
Right.
years old, that is very, very freeing to me. So I love when
Mhm.
your title to your email was
Try to catch your attention.
non-traditional. Oh, you caught it. You caught it. So, and of course, I always love to chat with another fellow teacher because, oh, you know what we're going through every day. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, in
Got to
this
keep up that
crazy,
energy. I don't feel like I need
crazy
a nap
world.
halfway through the
So,
day. So,
oh, no way. So, well, you are a ball of energy and so much
I'm like
fun.
vibrating right now.
And no, I just love being able to connect with people all over the country and all over the world, really,
Hmm.
and just be able to share what works, what doesn't, and that's I think share and that probably comes from the teacher and us too.
Yeah.
I love to teach, but I really love to learn too. So if
Hmm.
we can say something out there to our listeners and they can take away a nugget or a gem or whatever, then
Hmm.
I feel like it's a great thing to be able to help other people too. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I almost considered emailing Jin, but then just I
yeah,
literally am only on episode like 100 65 or something, and she's got like 500 episodes out with like so many more schedules. I was like, I'm
Mine,
never gonna get on there.
my
But
episode. Did you listen to my episode?
I don't know. Which number were
Mine's
you?
237.
Okay, so then no,
I'm
because
pretty
I'm in
positive.
like
It's been a couple
I'm
years.
still in COVID time in her world
Yeah.
right now.
Oh, no.
So still like
My
165.
I would recommend going to her website and sending her a message and just let her know, at least get on like the wait list or whatever. Cause yeah,
Yeah.
if she's on like
Well,
500
it's okay. I
something,
mean, and I'm not feeling like I super
but
need to, but I'm just like, I felt like I needed to get my story out there somewhere. And I love listening to you and your little
well, my
episodes. And
podcast is not nearly as popular as hers,
oh, I
but,
know. But I love how your episodes are like short. So like a lot of them are very concise and
well,
like,
thank
give
you.
little tips. So you can go back and like really pinpoint those points rather than like a lot of her episodes are like all this big long thing. You're like, oh, where was
Yeah.
that? And trying to find that. But
Well,
not that
thank
they're
you.
not
I
great. They are great,
appreciate the
but
feedback. Yeah,
yeah.
wonderful. So, oh my gosh.
Oh,
Well, thank you so much, Kylie. This has been
thank
truly,
you.
truly awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you take care.
You
Happy
as
rest
well.
of the year teaching. Hey, thank you so much for choosing to spend part of your day listening to this episode of the Intermittent Fasting Gems with Jen podcast. If you think these tips could help a friend or a family member, please consider sharing this episode with them. And if you really enjoyed the show, taking a minute or two to leave a positive review would be so appreciated. Tune in for new 15 to 25-minute episodes released on the 10th, 20th, and 30th of each month. Episodes will feature solo shows filled with IF hacks that have worked for me, as well as episodes where I get to chat with fun folks of all ages who've experienced incredible success with intermittent fasting. If you have questions or want more unique intermittent fasting health and weight loss tips, tricks, and recipes, please visit my website and blog at sowhatifwithjen.com. Finally, we'd love to welcome you into our free intermittent fasting Facebook support group, So What If with Jen. Find all of these links in the show notes below. And as always, I hope you spend your day loving without fear and laughing until your cheeks hurt.